Cheers.
Feeling good, man?
Okay.
Cool. All right. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we are your entertainment for today.
There you go, buddy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are your entertainment for this morning. I'm sorry for you. My handsome group leader here, Russell,
Group leader.
yep, group leader, on this therapy session is going to try to keep Bobby and I from beating each other's ass. See, he's from the South, and he's a witty dude, man. Bobby Wood is a very witty dude. He's a very smart man, and what I mean by that is, if you're modifying your motorcycle in any way, you have to keep one thing in mind. It's a system. You change one thing and that impacts another. It might be the part right next to it. It may be the part on the back side of the engine. You don't know until you identify what you're doing. But this man, Bobby Wood, knows more about the systemic nature of engines and powertrains than anyone I know. And we are very blessed to have him, so please give it up for Mr. Bobby Wood. And with that, I'm going to give this one to you so you can talk about stuff.
Okay. All right, that's Bert Baker, everybody. All right. Today we're going to be talking about Screaming Eagle performance, Wood's performance, and Baker Drivetrain.
Not so fast, not so fast.
Whoa, we got a
We got to
live
slow
one.
down.
We got a live one.
Yeah, we've got a live one today. So actually, I'm just going to turn it on over to Bobby and let him just take it from there because he does good.
Well, I'm not gonna get naked for y'all like Bert now. Don't get the wrong idea. Good. We've been using Bert's transmissions for a long, long time. They've saved us a lot of embarrassing moments, like can't find neutral on your bike when you come to a stop, and then you drop your bike like I did. But camshafts is all I do. I don't do anything but camshaft and lifters and valve springs. So if you guys got any questions about gearing on your bike, I'll be glad to go over. That's one of the best kept secrets about when a guy buys a new bike and you just put something simple like a camshaft and air filters and pipes on there. Gearing is very important also, and that's where Bert comes in as part of this quotation. So it's really a community project between us that we get. When a customer comes in, he leaves out with a smile, happy, and tells all his friends about it, and that's why folks like you are here today to answer any questions y'all might about how we do it. So I'm going to turn it back to you, Bert.
All right, thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. So, Bobby, Russell, and I, before this, what do we want to call this? Workshop. I was going to use some bad word, but let's not do that. But anyways, this is fun for me, by the way. And, you know, we could give you the PowerPoint presentation on our products. Bobby could do the same. I used to work for General Motors. I despise PowerPoint presentations. We're out here in the shop. Does everybody smell that smell of grease and oil? Does anybody dislike it? If you do, there's a golf shop up the road. Please go there. This is the wrong place for you, but if you like that smell, PJ, help me out, man. How does it smell? Where's PJ? He's right there. He's right there. It's smelling good. PJ and I had this discussion a couple days ago, and he pointed out that he can't smell it anymore, but his family obviously does when he goes home.
Yes.
And so I love the smell. I love this environment, and I like the motorcycle business. Rather than start out with any structured presentation, I would like to open it up to any questions people have. If we don't have any questions, then we'll get on with the dog and pony, but does anybody have any relevant questions they'd like to ask right now of Bobby or myself? Go ahead, sir.
Give him a microphone. cheeseburger.
I got you. Okay, I'm with you now. So the question is, as the power output, as the state of tune of your engine increases, state 2, 3, or 4,
Yeah, stage 3 and 4 is a
three,
displacement.
3 and 4, at what point should you consider enhancing your transmission or drivetrain or clutch or whatever? All of it. Very, very good question. I'm gonna it's
gonna go
safer
back?
here, so I'm gonna get behind the chicken wire.
Just give PJ the microphone, let him hand it to him, ask questions.
So the gentleman asked, at what time do you need to consider engine drivetrain enhancements as the power goes up? For example, converting the rear belt drive to a chain drive. And that depends. Mr. Bobby Wood, when he answers the phone at his place and works through a tech discussion with somebody, he will ask a series of questions before he answers any piece of that. And so maybe, can you give us a little, yeah.
What we look for, first of all, when somebody calls our office or anybody in this crowd, if you ever call, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
When you're in need of, right here, there you go.
There you go.
When folks call our shop, they're what we call, there used to be a television show called In Search Of. And when I say in search of, they've got a bike, they've got a motorcycle. And a lot of you folks, if you call a power company or whoever you call it, you can never reach somebody that's going to give you the information that you need because you're out searching. When gentlemen like him that calls my office, the first thing I want to know is what year, what kind of bike, what size of the engine, how much do you weigh, where do you live, do you ride it like you stole it, do you ride it like you bar hopping, do you ride two up, do you go on the back roads, mountain roads? We get a picture of what you're doing and what you want with the bike. Whether you're 88 cubic inch through a Milwaukee 114 or 117, most today's clutches will handle a stock bike, and that's just about it. So when I start with something like that and get inside the customer's head, because I need to understand exactly what he wants. If he goes out here bar hopping, if he goes out here bar hopping, ride it like he stole it with his buddies, for whatever. So the first step that most of our customers will have really just a stock bike with it. It makes no difference what it is, a 114 or 117. I take a look at that picture and I say, this guy's about 100 horsepower at 115, 120 horsepower. The belt will handle that just fine. Your compensator, well, that's been a up and down deal with Harley for some time, which we know Bert has just about covered that area for you. And so we look at that, and once I get a picture of what this customer's looking for, I'll say, okay, your FL bike or your 17 or 18 model, 107 or 114, you'll need like a TW222 high torque camshaft. Well, why did I think about a high torque camshaft? Well, your bike's about 850, 900 pounds. If you get a 250 pound guy, now you're up to almost 1,100, and he's got his honey on the back to you 1,300 or 1,400. He needs a high torque camshaft. High torque camshaft's not going to require you to put a chain on the back of your bike. It'll handle it, but your clutch won't handle it. So that's the first thing you got to do is put a clutch in there to handle that. These are the cam lifters, push rods, clutch, and good tuner on there. You're good to go. Your bike will run 100,000 miles on your belt as long as you don't ride it like you stole it from block to block. When you cross that point, and you're talking about $1,000 to $1,500 what a customer's going to ride in, and you're out the shop with those accomplishments, a clutch is going to put you up like $2,000. But once you step up and say, all right, I'm going to put some 10.5 to 1, 11.5 to 1 compression ratios. I like to ride it like I stole it from time to time. And when I pull into a parking lot, I want to go blah, 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 blah. Every guy wants to say who's got the biggest you-know-what when he comes in there to sound.
Pee-pee's the word.
Biggest pee-pee, okay. Well, the thing about it is that kills all their bottom end torque. So they're going to end up having to rev up the engine real high to get the bike moving, where a guy with a low camshaft, and what we just talked about, like you mentioned a minute ago, he'll kick their butt on the high gear roll-on with the bikes. So anyway, when you want to get involved with the transmissions now, that's in the high performance end of it. You get to 120, 130, 150 horsepower. That's another ball game. So I would say 130, 35 horsepower. After that right there, you need to be looking for a good chain, a really
I agree
good
with that.
clutch.
I agree
Yeah.
with that.
And let Bert give him some comments on that.
Yeah. I do agree with your number, 135 horsepower, 135 foot-pounds of torque. May I ask about your motorcycle? What do you have currently, or what is its configuration? Okay. So you have a 21
2021 limited.
limited,
It was 114.
and it's got the what?
114.
114. Is it stock-ish right now? And you're just trying to plan the next steps and what that would involve. Okay. One other piece of the puzzle, you know, in the Bobby, when he's interviewing somebody or questioning, you know, about their configuration in order to determine and make a good recommendation to them, is your rear tire. If you have a sticky icky rear tire, if you're running a Shinko that basically is like, it's not even a tire, it's like a jar of super glue, that destroys things in your drivetrain when you let that clutch out. As far as I can see, the 135 horsepower number, and it's really torque. It's torque that destroys drivetrain components. And drivetrain components are made up of the rear, secondary drive, that is the drive from the transmission to the rear wheel, that's one piece of the drivetrain. The primary drive from the motor to the transmission in the enclosed housing, and the transmission itself. A motorcycle, in my mind, a Harley-Davidson motorcycle has actually 4 transmissions in it. It has a single-speed transmission, which we call the primary. It has the secondary drive, we call the secondary, another single speed. In between those two, there's a multiple speed transmission, which we call the transmission, and the fourth being the rear wheel diameter. And so that's another single speed transmission. To calculate overall gear ratio, you multiply the primary drive by the secondary drive. And that'll give you a number somewhere around 3.3, somewhere in between 2.7 to 3.5. And that is the equivalent of the rear axle ratio in your rear-wheel drive Viper that you race at the track, or pickup truck or whatever. That multiplying those two together is the exact equivalent to a rear-wheel drive axle ratio. If you jack that ratio up numerically, if you increase it, let's say from 2.8 to 3.0, you will mathematically, and Bobby was one of the first ones when I got in this business over 2.5 decades ago.
25 years.
Yep, 25 years to recognize the power of gaining performance for relatively low cost through manipulating that primary or secondary drive ratio. If you go from 2.8 to 3, for example, you're going to have a lot more snot off the line. And the reason you have that is because you've mathematically, 2.8 to 3, let's just say it's something like 7%. I don't have the number in my head. But that 7% increase in your overall drive ratio translates into a 7% increase in torque to your rear wheel, mathematically. Can't be argued. And but it also, because like in life, engineering has compromises. To do one thing, you must give up another. If you get married, you can't have 38 girlfriends.
Down to one.
Or, yeah. You can have 38 girlfriends, but you better have eyes on the back of your head.
Yeah, we don't recommend it, but
37? You're the man. And a new wife. Oh my God. You're from Utah, huh,
Don't
sir?
let them meet.
Salt Lake City?
don't let them meet.
Okay.
Don't close your eyes at night.
God, I got the Comedy Central up here. Man, I'm trying to run a serious program here. Why are you guys messing me up?
I didn't go to Utah.
You're from Alabama, though.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. You pay the piper by a 7% increase in your cruising RPM on your top end. So to get your 7% increase in torque, you have to give up cruising RPM. It goes up a little bit. I personally feel like on your 2021 bike, that the cruising RPM at 80 miles an hour is kind of low. And so you'd have to ask yourself, would that be okay? And to me, the answer would be yes. Yeah. On my drive into work here today, I was doing a buck 41 out on I-96 looking for cops, and normally the cruising RPM is like 1,600 RPM on this car I got, and it was a lot higher than that at a buck 41. But I had my seatbelt on. I was safe. Bobby, you have any other comments on this
Don't
guy's?
ride with him at night. I can promise you that. I can write this out last night. On the gear ratio we're talking about, the earlier bikes, you gotta be careful about if you got one of these nice hot rod, late model Harleys, if you happen to run up on a guy with an FXR back in the 90s and through the 90s, those bikes were geared 3.37. Don't ever try to roll off in high gear with one of those guys, you're gonna get waxed. So anyway, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
In 2004, they changed the gear ratios on in the back there to 315 up to the 06 models. But in 07s, they really screwed up. Harley got a lot of flack. They went to a 66 tooth pulley on the back, which on the 07 and 08 models, and everybody complained, and I'm sure you guys, if you ever had one of those bikes, that they don't run in sixth gear. They got some Harley in 2009, they put a 68 tooth pulley on the back to get you from 277 up to 2.87 in sixth gear. Those bikes are still dead in high gear out there. And I had mentioned Bert's ear last night, to get a 30 tooth compensator bike, to work on one rather, to put in the guys like you late model bikes have got, all your 07
Wake it up,
bike.
man. Wake it up.
That will change your gear ratio right up to about 3.15, which with all your baggers like you've got, and your late model baggers from 94 and later went to 315 gearing. There's a company in California that makes a 30-tooth crank gear, but it's not near that will do the same thing, but it's not near as efficient as a compensator. So I'm twisting his arm to do something about that
I
for
hear
you
you.
guys.
I hear you. Yeah.
But on the flip side of this, when a customer comes into your bike and you get inside his head and do the things that we talked about, you can take like your 114 bike, you can take your bike and put a good camshaft in there, put push rods and lifters and a good tune-up on there and a good clutch and some good products from Baker, and you can change the gear ratio on your bike if Bert will make this compensator here, which will, you won't even think about going to 128 cubic inch motor or 131 because you'll wax every one of them you run up against with your little old 114 or 107 just by changing the gear ratio on these bikes.
And a cam.
And that goes to, lift the cam, all that goes with it. So it's really important that when somebody approaches you or a customer, you need to take the time to find out who, what, why, when, and where, what they're looking to do. Some guys, I run 150 mile an hour. Well, I don't care who it is. If you kick his ass to 100 mile an hour, it's all over, and he's embarrassed. And he's going to go back and try to hop his bike up again. But really, you don't have to go to these 130 and 140 cubic inch motors. You can accomplish this by gearing. And I'll give you a classic example. In early 1950s, General Motors had a and they're six-cylinder engines, and when they come out with the truck V8s, they have made a transmission like the B&Ms used to make. It's got like a grandma first gear in it, and it's a 4-speed automatic. In 1959, I set an NHRA national record in a 55 Chevrolet, ran 12.99 with a 512 gear ratio in the back and seat. Well, how did you get that to fit? All I did was put that stupid transmission that would go from here to you guys in first gear, but it would launch so fast, and you get to that quick and you set records. And that's what you can do with these bikes by simply gearing these bikes to your riding conditions. And you won't have to be buying these 130 and 140-inch motors. It'll make a major difference.
Thank you, Bobby. And I mean, Bobby's message really is, you don't necessarily want to just go after more cubic inches right away. To achieve an increase in performance, you can be a lot simpler in your approach with a cam change and a little bit of gearing. Then if you don't like that, go ahead and move up. However you slice it, or what direction you go in, I would highly recommend that you consult the people here at Capital Harley, this guy, because it's a big puzzle. And they know a lot about performance. That's why 2 years ago we bought a 2020 Road Glide. Everybody said, isn't it nice? I said, no, it's a dog, man. I'm embarrassed, man. I want some performance. So I brought it in and I just handed it over to them. And I said, listen, give me the biggest and baddest that you can offer. What they gave me was the Stage 4 131.
Yeah, Stage 4 131.
Screaming Eagle kit, straight from Harley. Beautiful kit, has all the pieces, parts, and all that. With the exception of the cam, they've installed one of these cams. Well, we dynoed the thing, and it made 158 foot-pounds of torque and 154 horsepower, something like that. By anybody's measure, that's pretty respectable. That's pretty cool, man. It had a D&D exhaust. It sounded nice. And we beat the crap out of it and loved it. I'm not sure I'd recommend that for everybody, but it was a very streetable, very drivable motorcycle. Another question, please, from anybody. Anybody got? You, sir, in the front.
I'm actually curious, what are some of the main differences between a 6-speed Harley transmission and one of your transmissions?
Okay. The gentleman asked the main differences between a stock 6-speed Harley transmission, the 07 and later style, correct? And a Baker transmission. Well, we offer two transmissions for 07 and later. Number one, we offer a 7-speed, which I feel is it's a significant torque capacity improvement over the stock one. And then we offer the Grudge Box, which is the Demons from Hell one. Like, if you want to put Demons from Hell through the transmission, it says, "Thank you, sir, can I have another?" That's movie Animal House, I think. And the differences is the Grudge Box is for higher levels of output. It's an all straight cut gear set. Fifth gear is a 1-to-1 ratio, whereas the stock transmission 6th gear is 1-to-1. So the Grudge Box 5th gear is 1-to-1 and 6th gear is an overdrive. Gives you about I think it's a 10% reduction in cruising RPM on the highway. And so let's just circle back to maybe the first question with that is, you may ask, why the hell I need an overdrive in my transmission. It's all, the RPM at 80 miles an hour is already 32 or 2,800. I don't know. It's not very high.
2,800.
28, about 28. And so you're bumping along at 28. Why do you need to drop it down to 24? And the answer is you're not going to. If you have a grudge box with the overdriven 6, you need to take advantage of an increase in the overall drive ratio. So you need to go to a bigger rear sprocket, or a smaller motor sprocket, the sprocket right off the motor, compensator, or the transmission pulley. And so you play with those numbers, and then you have something. Does that make any sense? Or, I mean, does that explain kind of what we offer? You know.
Well, you're saying you got the grudge box with an overdrive gear, and you got a 7-speed on the other transmission.
I'll talk about the 7-speed a little bit. The 7-speed is more for touring. The first gear ratio on your stock Harley 6-speed is 3.34. That's the first gear ratio. On the grudge box, it's 3.15. It's a little bit taller, as they say, to get you a little farther across the intersection before you have to poke second gear. The DD7 is a little bit of a different animal. The first gear is 3.76. It's much more of a creeper gear. So if you're accustomed to riding out west through the hills, you ride 2 up, you maybe even have a trailer, that 3.76 first gear is going to be really nice. And so, in summary, the DD7 is for touring applications and riding, people who really ride. The grudge box is for people who like to take their buddy's money and challenge them to a race on the street or strip. Another question? Yes, sir.
So, talking about your transmission, what else do you have to modify on the motorcycle to get that transmission?
Okay. The gentleman asked on either one of these transmissions, what else needs to be modified to install one of them? I don't know, Russell. This is you have to go into the you have to have a power vision, right?
You don't have to. No.
You don't have to.
No.
Okay. Okay.
You can run any tuner. Well, any type of tuner.
Any
You can
type
run
of tuner,
Zippers, all that. Yeah,
Yep,
Power
yep.
Vision.
Yeah, that's
Master
right.
Tune, TTS, all that.
Okay.
And then Screaming Eagle tuners. And then certain Screaming Eagle tuners, a new one's supposed to be coming out this year. It's, what is it called? It's just a street tuner. It's a new version of the old Street Tuner Pro.
Okay.
But, I mean, it all starts up front with the air cleaner, too, though, on your throttle body. You gotta get more air in, you're gonna get more air out with exhaust. And you're
Okay.
paying your timing.
But just with a
But for-
transmission swap, I think the answer is nothing's
Nothing.
required, but it's ideal to. The short answer to your question is nothing is technically required. You can install it and run. But what you won't have will be your shift indicator lights, the little lights that light up on your dashboard that tell you whether you're in first, neutral, second, third. My personal opinion is if you need lights on the dashboard to know what gear you're in, you probably shouldn't be riding a motorcycle. I'm sorry. That's just my opinion. You know, they're motorcycles. They're motorcycles. They're not video games. They're real. They're real. That's why we're here. We like real stuff. And and then the short answer is nothing. The long answer is, you know, anytime you change any part of the system of a Harley-Davidson, you need to do yourself right and get a tuner. There's, like Russell said, there's piggyback tuners. There's a bunch of different kinds. PJ, they're Alpha Tech over there and tall. They're male model. Yeah, see PJ, that's their in-house male model. PJ, he understands most of the tuners and how to calibrate them on that little magic room back there.
So if you have already one in the system, you don't need to.
There you go. There you go. That is often the case when somebody comes to Baker Drivetrain and purchases a transmission, is they already have some kind of tuner.
Yeah.
And then you have to manipulate those numbers. Next question. You, sir.
So, I've got a stock Evo, and I want to maintain the reliability of the stock Evo without building it up.
Excuse me, sir, 1 minute. I want to applaud Shannon and Capital Harley-Davidson for working on Evos in this shop. That's awesome, man. Please, go ahead. Evo.
So, obviously, the most reliable engine produced.
Beautiful engine. Beautiful engine.
But I want to maintain the reliability.
Yes.
Without, I'm going to do a simple cam change, things like that. With compensator, I want to obviously drop compensator, be able to hang. I'm not going to be able to beat an MA.
Yep.
But I want to be able to hang with these guys without having to jump to an MA or build it up significantly high. How can I do that by driving?
Mr. Bobby Wood he has a PhD from some Southern University. And that PhD is in the area of having an Evo and an embarrassing
He's got one.
twin cams. He owns a couple of them. So I think I'm gonna turn the mic over to him, but the question is, you have your, what year is your Evo?
It's a 90.
Oh, so you still had the fat cases on them. In 92, they went, yeah, the bottom breather, okay, beautiful breathing system. You have your 90, and let me ask this question. I know people like you. I know people like you. And I think this is your situation. If I were to give you a brand new M8 and say, here, ride it, it's yours, you wouldn't. You want to ride your 1990 Evolution, and God bless you, man. That's awesome. That's the essence of Harley-Davidson. It's beautiful. But I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Wood because he's time and time again embarrassed people at the dyno shootout at Daytona every year, Bike Week, because he knows how to put a formula together to embarrass people.
Uh-oh, Evo time.
Yeah,
What kind of bike got? It's 90 model what? Electric guide. All right, that bike, 1990, that bike is geared 3.37. You've already got the covered in advance. You can take that stock 80-inch cubic inch motor and put you like, with your stock, you're on a bolt-in cam, correct?
Yep, just a base cam.
W6 is 510 lift, 240 degrees, and keep the stock size tire. Don't put no oversized tire, and you'll launch off at the red light, and you'll beat them so bad. I've got a 90 model that I hopped it up a little bit, but anyway, it's I can take in fifth gear, thanks to Baker's transmission. Oh, okay. I've got that bike geared 408 in fifth gear. I can take any Hayabusa 60-mile-an-hour high gear roll on the Hayabusa, those 200-mile-an-hour bikes, and I'll beat them so bad they think the bike's broke. It will run on the dyno from 46 mile an hour to 126 in 2.68 seconds. Yeah, this is real. It's a hand grenade. You can't use first gear or second gear at the red light. But it's a fun piece because I take these late model bikes off and I just go, boom! And they, what happened? Think they got a bomb dropped on. You've got the right gearing, good cam and some good pipes, or a good high torque pipe. Don't get some loud blah, 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 going into a parking lot. Get enough back pressure, good 2-into-1, and you've got a hand grenade already. And you might step up your carburetor. You could step up to a 43 rubber carburetor. You can get you a 42 or 45 Lacuna. You can't never ever put. You're going to get in an argument with one of your buddies one day. Say, well, you can't run that big of a carburetor. Well, I'm going to tell you how to shut him up real quick. Just say, well, sir, could you please explain to me what a supercharger or a turbocharger does? It puts more air in there. So what's a carburetor going to do? And that's what you tell them. But you put one of those carburetors and you've already got the good gearing. Keep this good clutch. You're going to need a good clutch and a good and I've dropped my time on my bike. This is embarrassing, but I'm gonna tell you.
Oh, here we go, here we go.
I'm driving down to Birmingham on 6-lane road, and I come to a red light in the middle of traffic, and I got
In
my...
a bad neighborhood.
Yeah, it was not a nice neighborhood.
Okay.
It was a
Right,
bad
right, right,
neighborhood, and a lot of gangs and stuff like that. But anyway, I had on my American flag jacket, and I had on my boots with my chains on them, so I'm pulling up between on the third lane. I'm in the center pulling up to red light. I'm trying to find neutral. I can't find neutral, the damn light in there, and my damn chain on my boot got hung in there, and kabam! I went right down in the street right in front of everybody. That happened. So I called this guy right here, his name is Bert. I said, Bert, I can't find neutral because of my damn clutch. I got one of those bandit clutches in there. You can't find neutral. So Bert made me that all the way down. So now I don't have to look no more when I'm driving. I just keep patting until the bike's in neutral. That's all you have to do.
And that is what we call our N1 shift drum. We offer an N1 on the grudge box and the OD6, the overdrive 6-speed. The overdrive 6-speed would be what applies to your situation. So in particular, so you have almost a virgin. It's a bit like it is. And so just to give you specifics on what we might recommend that would give you a lot of performance with the smallest amount of money input and the most durability, okay, it would be what cam from
W6.
the
Plug
W6,
and play.
and then along with that you need to wake it up through gear ratio, so you would need to do one of two things. Would be to change your transmission pulley from its current 32 down to a 29 tooth, or change your compensating sprocket from a 24, which is what it is now, down to a 21. Now, Bobby's a maniac. He does quite often both of those things because he wants to jack up that number. And I was kind of looking for a dry erase board to do some classroom stuff, but we'll go through this. This is easy. To calculate your overall drive ratio, your secondary drive ratio, you take the big number, the rear wheel, divide it by the front number, 32, okay? Multiply that by the big number in the primary, which is your clutch basket, which is 37, divided by 24. And that's how you get 3.37. There's no rocket science involved, that's it. And once again, that's the equivalent of a rear axle ratio in a rear-wheel drive car. Another question, please. This gentleman's, you guys, yep, here we go.
Your 7-speed transmission, how does that work well with cruise control and whatnot for on the highway?
Sure it does. Have you heard some issues with it, or?
No, I was just
No, it as far as cruise control, it's transparent to the motorcycle as far as cruise control is concerned. And once again, the DD7 is a better choice for those who do cruising, that maybe have a heavier GVW situation, that we don't have hills in Michigan. Do you have hills in Alabama?
You bet your bottom dollar.
You got hillbillies in Alabama?
Yeah, those two. Both.
You got both? Okay, all right, that's cool.
Got it all.
That's
Got it
cool. That's on the way to Alabama. Right. And if you have those things, hillbillies you want to run away from, then the DD7 is probably your choice. But if you want to, race people in the street and take their money, the grudge box is a choice. Other questions, please? Yes, sir.
I was talking to PJ this morning. I've got
The male model? Yeah.
He's handsome.
Yep.
anyway, 2013 breakout, stock 103. It's got the SMS, air cleaner, pro pipe, tuned by Fuel Moto. We're talking about either doing the 107 high performance kit,
Okay.
or I've already changed the transmission pulley to 30 and the rear wheel pulley to 68.
Okay. So you understand what we're talking about here very well.
And I'm wondering, since the guru is here and I love wood cams, I've got it on all my other bikes, what do you recommend I
Okay, what do you weigh, about 230?
Yep.
You're at 10.5 to 1?
It's stock motor right now.
No, but it's going to be 10.5 to 1. And what are you doing on the throttle body? It's going to stop, you're going to put a 64 or up to okay. Personally, I would at least throttle body, a clutch, you're going to need a good clutch on there. Camshaft, you ride 2 up? Okay, where do you ride it? The back roads, interstates?
I'm trying to build something that's gonna go real fast in a short period of time. I
All
don't
right,
care
go
how
real quick. All right, well, that's good. All right, are you going to do any head work on it?
the 107 kit comes with the,
Wait.
it's from Fuel Moto, comes with it.
Are you getting the whole kit then with the head, the level B heads, or?
Okay, yeah, the level Bs are nice.
Well, you're going to ride it like you stole it, and that was a 13 model. How many miles you got on the chains?
Oh, I just bought the bike a while ago, it's only got 3,500
You
miles.
need, yeah, you need to still, I'd put new chains in it, new lifters in the camshaft, if you want to get there like really quick, would probably be, that's the 13, TW777, or the 408 series. 408 is basically the same cam with 4 more degrees duration, so if you want the top end to add with it, and you put the gear ratio like we're talking about, put the 408, TW408, it's available in a 650 lift version or a 530 lift version. So if you don't want to run roller rockers, use the 408-44 cam. That's going to get you there real quick with that gear ratio. It's just going bam, 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 and you're done.
Definitely is.
I'd get your gear ratio up down to at least up to 320 to 337, whatever what it required to do that, get it up there. We can figure that out for you. But that's going to just make it a hand grenade from red light or anywhere you go. It's just going to go bam, 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 and they're going to wonder what happened to them. What kind of pipes?
Advanced 9 Pro bike.
Ooh, is it a real loud one or a quiet one?
It's not like
Okay, well, that's an okay pipe. Fuel Moto makes the best 2-in-1 in the country. Just to let you know, the Jackpot series.
I've got it on my other one.
Well, put it on your bike and you gear it like we're talking about in a really a good clutch, and you'll have a real hand grenade, guaranteed. You got Power Vision from Fuel Moto. Yeah, they are the leaders in this country as far as Power Vision goes. They really are. So they do a lot of camshaft testing. I'll send up cams, so they're good people.
Yeah, they recommended the 22XE for my 20 road glide special.
Oh, you got a 107 or 114 or?
114, we did the Pro Bite, I'm sorry, the Jackpot header, SNS air cleaner,
Okay.
and then your 22XE.
XE cam, that's a killer cam. We can't keep enough of those on the shelf.
Yeah, that thing pulls hard.
Yeah, well, keep on, it won't let you down, and just let you know, it'll work in a 114, a 117, a 124. Once you get up to what, we got guys 128, 131 to running, but we've also I develop new cams all the time. We don't release them all the time, but at the same token, that XE cam is our number one seller, for getting it there real quick, so. Mr. Bart's out sundancing again.
Man, I'm just chasing squirrels. Other questions? Hey, in back here, yes, sir.
Transmission, is your ratio the same when you put that FR6 in?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the question was, what year's your bike?
18.
Okay, so you have a 2018 touring bike? And so he's inquiring about our reverse system.
The gear ratio
When
reverse.
after you install that reverse, does it change the existing gear ratios? Is that the question? And the answer is no. You get the exact same gear ratios back. I'll tell you a funny story. 5 or so years ago, we were out at Sturgis, and we had a booth, and I wasn't there. I think I was drunk or something, but my guys were there, and the Willie G came by. You know, he's our father, Willie. We all love Willie. He's awesome. He's always smiling. He's always got that shit-eating grin, just crazy little hat. And, you know, he walked up to one of my guys thinking it was me and went to hug him, and my guy went, whoa, whoa, what's up, dude? You know, and he said, hey, Bert, I just want to tell you that I have 2 trikes, and I have your reverse in both of them. And to me, that was a very, very high compliment. Willie G can have anything he wants. he also was being escorted around with a very, very large gentleman that you don't want to talk to. But he can have anything he wants. He chose our reverse system, and our reverse system, once installed, operates like this: is you put it in first gear. Over on the right controls, there will be a thumb lever that you will, press down, and that is a safety lever to allow you to shift from first down into neutral with your shifter. You don't have to reach down and grab some kind of crazy lever or dance on your head. It's integrated into the existing shift lever like I think it should be. You tap down, you can release the safety lever. You're now in reverse. In this very room right here, a few years back, a young man, maybe in the back there, did a burnout on the floor, a burnout in reverse. Find videos of me doing reverse burnouts. And the reason I did those at events was to show that it's not our reverse system is not a toy, it's a real gear. Just like a car or whatever, you can do a burnout, And it's pretty cool to see people's faces when you do a burnout in reverse, and then you ease that front brake out a little bit, and you start walking backwards, and smoke's going that way instead, or, it's like, it messes people up, so it's a lot of fun. Any other questions related to that? Other questions?
What does it take to install that reverse module?
The reverse is a little bit involved. It does require you to take all of the gears off of the countershaft and put our new countershaft on. Otherwise, everything else is reused, except for the drum, which is new, and then there's a little fork on the outside and a little gear set on the outside. As far as number of hours, you can get with this guy after the show, but it does require the transmission to be removed. Questions? Yes, sir.
Hey, Bert, I'm going with you down to Milan. Tell these fellas the times you run and the mile per hour you run.
Okay.
If they haven't seen you before.
Okay.
Mile and a quarter mile.
Yeah, no. It's every year at Sturgis we rent out. Huh?
What was he asking?
Okay. Oh yeah, thank you. The gentleman's question was, Bert, share some of your quarter mile experience and fun with these people from down at Milan. It wasn't until I was 50 that I started drag racing motorcycles. I started this company when I was 36, and by the time I was 50, I was so deep into the business, I wasn't really enjoying motorcycles much anymore. Well, let me rephrase. I love motorcycles. I always will, but I was too deep into the business. At the age of 50, I'm now 60. My romance, my affair with motorcycles got rekindled by going to the drag strip. And I built a bike called the Organ Donor, which, yeah, okay. And I went down there, and I was cutting numbers like a 9.5 second quarter mile at a $1.41. And that may or may not sound impressive to you, but my highest compliment that anybody ever paid me down there was when a guy that had like a 10-second truck came to my pit, and he said, "Now how fast do you go on this thing?" And I said, "Well, sir, I do a 9.5 second quarter, $1.40. He said, "Dang, you are crazy." And I said, "Thank you." And that was a cool compliment. But every year at Sturgis, we rent the track, and we have people come The event's getting bigger and bigger every year. And there's no cost to get in, there's no cost to run on the track, because I want people to experience what I experienced. And I don't care if you're on a 32 horsepower Ironhead Sportster. Sir, when you get up and you got the staging lights and those bulbs come down, it's religion. I mean, angels above are playing harps and saying, Bert, 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 all the angels in heaven, and it's like it's a beautiful experience. And I would encourage anybody and everybody to experience that, whether you're a racer or not. You can take your stock bike, put it on the track every Wednesday during, summertime. They have open test and tune. You can, as long as you have a helmet and boots and jacket, they'll let you go down the thing. Is that kind of where you want it? The fastest I ever went was I spent a little time on a top fuel Harley that had 1,000 horsepower. And the trick was to make it go straight. I never knew that, but the faster you go, the faster that wall starts coming at you. And my best time was a 676 at 202. But at 1,000-foot mark, I backed off the throttle because I had no idea if I was at the starting line or in the bean field beyond the track. This is honest to God's truth, I had no idea where I was on the track. So my point is, between 9.5 seconds and 6.76, there's a vast universe of learning. Questions. Okay. Any other questions? You got one? We got a live one. Yes, sir. Man. Okay, the question was for a 2000 vehicle, do we make a reverse for the 5-speed of that era? Oh, a reverse shift pattern. Reverse shift pattern. I know at one time we did. I think we still have them. It's primarily used. I think it's an ignition kill drum, meaning it's a reverse pattern. It may have neutral on bottom or top, or however you want to say it. But it has, instead of one divot for the neutral switch, it has 5 divots, so you kill the coil. It's kind of a racer thing. But JT, what part number would that be if we have it? A 2-5 RRS? That sound about right? Okay. A 2-5 RRS, I believe, would be the drum part number. Good? We do you understand? I'm not sure I understand the question.
If you got a complete transmission with it already built into it, you can buy.
You can buy a complete transmission with that. Yes, yes, sir. We're actually, because Harley has discontinued a lot of the 5-speed parts, I believe that's still the case. We are selling a lot of plain Jane or slightly modified 5-speeds for folks like you. Because from 1990 to 2006, there's a lot of bikes out there, and they're good bikes. My personal favorite is between 2001 and 2006 on the baggers. I love those bikes. I mean, they're indestructible. You throw them off a cliff, and, start them up and go crash again. Whatever you want. Other questions? Other questions? Come on, don't be shy. No dumb questions.
Let me tell
Yep.
you.
Oh, okay, here we go.
I had a 2020 road glide with a 107 and I put a tape two with the low end can. Now I bought a 2022 road king Spectral with the 114. Does that bypass the port that the 107 had with the tape two or?
Repeat the question.
I like to have that ability to accommodate to a truck or something like that.
You're looking for as far as the camshaft selection goes, you mean?
For your 2020.
21, yeah.
Or
The 20, or 20,
The 2020 was,
right.
Screaming Eagle
107 or 114?
107.
107. All right, I'll give you that answer in just a second, but I want to tell you about the angels and all that Bert heard up there and the bells
topless
ringing.
angels. Topless angels.
Well, the topless angels, they were out there, that was bets being calibrated where he's going to make it out at 200 mile an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Ain't that right? Anyway, back on your bike there, honestly, the XE camshaft lighted up the minute you hit the throttle. I think this gentleman right here had a 22 XE, didn't you, in his bike there? It's a super high torque. It'll run right on through 5,000, but you look like you weigh what, about $180, $160? Yeah. How much you weigh? 250. Where you, oh, maybe between your legs?
He will sneak up on you, man. He will sneak up on you. Be careful.
Do you ride two up or by yourself? Do you ride mostly back roads, two lanes, 4 lanes, interstates? Where do you ride? What kind of pipes? What kind of pipes you got?
Well, this one is gonna have the SS.
S&S what? I'm not
Oh,
familiar with that.
okay, S&S Grand National slip-ons.
Oh, the slip-ons, so loud or quiet?
They're like a mid.
Yeah,
They're like a mid sound, medium.
yeah, Russell said it's good. The haters, yeah, they kill your torque too. It's like this, the quieter the pipe, the quicker you're gonna get there within reason. When you let the air and fuel go across the intake valve, right across the duct, without enough back pressure in there, it just kills your torque on the bottom end. So be careful about your pipes. I don't get the pipe wars with anybody, but if you ask the question, that's the correct answer for you. But the 22 XE cam will light it up anywhere regardless of where you hit it, but just pay attention to your pipes. I know everybody likes to have a loud pipe, so do I. But I cured that problem by re-gearing the bike. So if you want a camshaft there that is marginal, which the XE is not marginal, but if your exhaust is loud, you really need to consider doing a gear change on your bike too to make the additional performance you need down at the lower and mid RPMs. So, but if you've got enough back pressure in there, 22 XE will kill it, light it up. What kind of tune do you got? What? Who?
I think it's a street tuner.
The street tuner. Okay, though. Make sure you get a good tune on that and going go have some fun with it. It'll work great. Well, he'll take care of you.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Anything else there? Anybody got any questions on cams? Yes, sir.
What's the difference between the 22X and the 22XE?
Ooh, he knows his can.
Very simple. Good man back there. Well,
All
actually, the
All
22X was one
What
that-
size shirt you take, sir? Large?
What we do, when we first started out, when the Harley released those engines, we were like anybody else in the learning curve on
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
Nobody at that time really had any knowledge of these heads right here about what they're doing, what they're not doing. There's a design flaw in these heads, and a lot of head guys are really working on it. So our first cams came out with a 222, and then we come out with the 22X. We had to add some modifications to it. And as the time has rolled around for the last 2 years, once we introduced that cam, we've been studying these very carefully. I can make a cam on this piece of paper in 3 minutes.
Oh, that's
Send it up
beautiful.
to Andrews, and I'll have a working model and send it out for testing. I've got Fumoto, DC Cycles, and several other people that will test these cams for me, all same-day camshafts on there. So I said, well, you know, I'm looking at this right here, and I'm not getting the torque I want out of it, so I took that 22X cam, and I added another 10 degrees to the intake timing. You gotta be careful now, because these cams are actually retarded because there's no piston to valve clearance with those. I mean, it's really limited there on the piston to valve clearance, so we have to watch our intake opening. So I got to retard them to 113-degree center line, but I can cheat on the exhaust, and I kick it another 10 degrees in time in Shazam. That took care of the problem I was looking for. So it's every day I go to bed at night. I never sleep. I sleep maybe 3 hours, 4 hours a night. My head is spinning all the time. I got all kind of new cams coming out. Another lifter that's going to change the world is on Harley riders. If it's successful, we start testing it on the 20th of this month. But back on your cylinder heads out there, there's a lot still missing for the public with these heads. The exhaust port is the enemy, and they're the biggest problem that we're having. But we're covering it. We've got several people over 200 horsepower, not on nitrous and not on their natural aspirated. In fact, Fuel Moto, they did 203 horsepower just on our 68 cam.
That's crazy.
But it's real. So we're constantly developing new product for these heads. So to answer your question, you'll see these cams grow, and you might see an XE. And here's a classic example. Jamie at Fuel Moto, they're one of our top dealers, and he wanted me to make them a cam exclusively through them called the 22X D cam, XD. And I did. I said, well, Jamie, I tell you what, I said, I've been wanting to make some other changes, and so you send me what you want made, and I'll get it made for you. And I'll take and make an E cam and an F cam, which I did. And I said, you're going to have to run all 3 cams on the same day testing. Well, we got the cams and wait, and we tested them. And the E-Cam made another, good Lord, 10 more foot-pounds of torque. These runs are on the Fuel Motors website, 10 more foot-pounds of torque at 2,500 over the D-Cam I made for Jamie. Then the F-Cam, it was 1 horsepower short on the top end because of the duration. So the F-Cam made 5 more foot-pounds of torque and still made another more 1 horsepower top end. So exhaust and the E-Cam, XE cam shift, nobody's come close to beating that cam yet, and we're working on cams every day to make them better on the exhaust ports. So you'll be seeing a lot of changes in the next, well, I already made on 2 cams that I haven't even released yet, but stay tuned. They'll be coming out here with 4 spring with some more hopped up E-cams. So.
Did he answer your question, sir? Yeah. Okay.
Any other cam questions, or?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
No,
both 10 camshaft. All those cams like the 222s, the 22X, the 22XEs, all you need to set up. We always use exclusively, honest to God, not because we're Capital Harley-Davidson, Screaming Eagle push rods. They got a better coverage. They got 24 pitch threads on there, and if you got the twin cams, the 18404-08, they are 24 pitch with the tapered push rods. So we use all. I do recommend you get rid of the Mexican lifters. All twin cam 11 and later twin cam engines, and all Milwaukee engines use the same part number made in Mexico lifters. So that everybody knows, Eaton bought out that Mexican, the place that makes all Harley's lifters in Mexico. So
How do you feel about this? Share your feelings.
How does this really make you feel?
Senor, senor.
Gentlemen behind. Yep.
Yeah,
What cam would you recommend for a 2010 wide glide with a safe one?
Well, 103 or 96 or 103. 96. Be a TW.
Between leaving it at 96 or bumping it up, but I'm thinking start with the cams.
Let me tell you something. To anybody in this room, is very important. There's 3 things you can do, actually 4 things to a bike. On a bone stock motor like your cam, I can tell you right off the bat, I can see you're over 200 pounds, but it doesn't make any difference. You're 160 or 250. It would be the TW222 camshaft. In your case, all you need is cam, push rods, lifters, an install kit, and a tuner. And there's nothing you're ever going to do as long as you own that bike, besides pipes and filter, that's going to make. Next thing is internal, which gets up into thousands and thousands of dollars. No, absolutely stuck it, because you'll be thrilled to death. Then, if I can get Mr. Burke to make that compensator, which is an hour-and-a-half job to put it in there, you'll have the equivalent of a 130 or 140 cubic inch motor without doing anything else, and not even more money. It's never, ever, gentlemen, how fast you go. It's how quick you get it there. That's it.
Hey, I do need to say something. You know, obviously, we're about 20 minutes here from Capital Harley, so we have a very good relationship with Capital Harley. And a couple of years ago, you know, we had them do the stage 4 into our 2020 Road Glide, which we were very happy with. And from that point to now, this place has grown 500% as it relates to their competence in the performance world. Once again, to be competent in the performance world, you have to view the whole thing as a system. And their systemic knowledge has increased 500% from when we got our stage 4 put in. And you hear both Bobby and I talk about Fuel Moto. They're over in Wisconsin, and they do a very, very good job because they have very good systemic knowledge. But all I have to say for Fuel Moto, and I have to say this carefully, you know, because they are a very good customer, is here comes Capital Harley-Davidson Speed Shop, and it's right in our backyard. So we gotta love it, man.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Yep. And that's why Russell is here. He's a new face. He's a new face here. How long you been here? 3, 6 months, something?
4 months.
4 months, and you know, he's obviously not a very handsome fella, but they hired him because of his systemic knowledge and his connections within the industry with people like Bobby and myself. And so, yeah, for sure. I would not hesitate, any of you, you know, following up next week or whenever, to contact this guy, sit down, get a piece of paper between you, and come up with something, you know. Once again, though, you can't just, I'm just going to put a pipe on and blah, 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 you know.
One other thing here, I got a shock here the other day on that Bert's bike, and I wasn't aware of this. They sent that dyno on to us on this bike, and it's 158 horsepower and 154 torque. And I said, well, what kind of cam got in it? I couldn't believe it. That's almost a bolt-in cam for that Milwaukee.
Yep.
That's a very, that's
Mild.
what I would use, a very mild for a guy that's got a bagger looking for a lot of torque, not a raceman. He's kicking out 158 horsepower. Congratulations to you, Mr. Russell. And Mr.
Yeah.
Baker.
Yes.
Congratulations on that bike.
Thank you. XL zip-up hoodie, you, sir, right in the front.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. 2X, right here. Man, that's pretty good, man. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
So I have an 02 carbureted hurricane.
God bless you.
God bless you.
So
It's
when you
true.
say tune on that, when you throw in a bolt-in cam like that,
I can tell you right now, 48 pilot jet and a 190 main jet. If you leave in Michigan, be a 195 main jet. 2.5 turns on your mixture screw, set your timing at 32 degrees, and right off in the sunset.
He's
It's
a
that simple.
man.
Very, 48 pilot jet.
48
Here in
pilot,
Michigan, it's pretty heavy air. This is good air up here. 195 main jet, 2.5 turns on your mixture screw. What kind of a tuner you got? Dynatech or?
no, it's just carbureted.
The stock ignition.
I still, but you still have to have a tuner for it. What was your bike?
02.
Oh, too, yeah, you need a 410, Dynajet makes a 2-pin module for you where you set your timing. You have to be able to set the timing on the bike.
Twin Tech also makes a good model.
Well, yeah, but you can use it Twin Tech too, but the reason we use that is only 2 switches on it. So you can run either one of those 2 modules, but set it at, just turn the switch to 32 and set your RPM at 5750 on those switch and you're done. Right off in the sunset, no dyno tuner required.
Yeah.
Do you like the 222 then on that? Would that be the cam you'd like?
No, you said your bike was an 02. Yeah, no, you've got an early model.
6-6.
Well, it'd be 6-6 is a bolt-in cam for that. That's the biggest cameras you can put in. Your heads will only handle like 510 to 520 lift, and it's 240 degrees 510 lift, so that'll work on there. How many miles on you got on your chains?
52,000.
Oh,
Oh, it's
man, you gotta change them. They gotta go.
Really?
You're on death's door right there. Yeah.
right where the grenades.
Well, you know, we make a kit for your bike, and actually you can buy it right here. It's called, this is a conversion. Let's see,
Yeah,
let's
that's
see.
conversion.
There you go, there's the cam. PW6R, what we do, we just buy everything brand new from Harley. You can get it from these guys. And it makes your bike, it's not like these aftermarket fueling, those people like this. It's everything brand new from Harley out of the 2007 to 17 twin cam engines. Then what we do, we take and make our 07 cams with the 7/8 diameter to fit the 90.
Excuse me, sir. Pleasure working with you. I gotta go. I'm sorry, I have a
God bless you.
Yeah, I have a death in the family, but, thank you very much for attending. Thank you for coming. Can you please hand this out?
Yeah.
Have a great weekend, and God bless America. Keep in mind, this country is still, it has problems, okay? But I assure you, it is the best country on planet Earth. I've traveled. I know. Amen, and God bless America.
God bless Bert Baker. Anyway, God bless America. He's really right. Go get my American flag jacket. Let me show these people what I wear. Anyway, back on your bike there, we make that camshaft. It's an 07 and later camshaft to fit your 99 through the 06 case. If you're going to keep this bike long term, that's the best money you'll ever spend. It's everything, includes a big screaming eagle oil pump for an 02 by 99 through an 06, except 06 Dynas. They've got the latest in there. You do that to your bike, and they can get you the conversion kit and the cam right here and put it in, put that Dynatech module and right off in the sunset, and your bike will last you forever. But for God's sake, Harley got rid of that chain system. You can't even buy them anymore. They stretch on the inside. That's the biggest problem with them. So if you're going to keep that bike, do that conversion kit that they offer. They can buy it right here from these folks here, and you'll never look back. You do that carburetor exactly like I told you. You don't have to dyno tune it. You just pull out your choke lever, hit the throttle 2 times, and right off in the sunset. Okay. Tell you something else, guys. It's that's really important on these Harleys. We found out your biggest enemy on these bikes are the bikes themselves. I spent over $100,000 back in 1970. I developed a system for aircraft engines. I'm a pilot. I've flown F-4 Phantoms and B-26 bombers and all. But the aircraft engines, we built a dyno system for them to testing them. So we took them and put Harley 4-barrel carburetors. I made a complete intake set on an airplane, but we used them in airboats. Put a 4-barrel Harley on top, but on the dyno, I could never keep these engines cool. And they're air-cooled engines just like your Harleys. And the problem being, all these fans, 10,000, 20,000 CFM, I couldn't cool it. So finally, after a year and tons of money, I called one of the engineers at Lycoming. These were Lycoming 0540s or 0360 engines. And he said, well, what kind of baffles are you running in there? And there's a lesson at the end of the speech here. I said, what kind of baffles? What do you mean baffles? He said, well, you know, the baffles go between the jugs. I says, no, I didn't know. So long story short, went and bought a set of baffles, put them between the cylinders, and it fixed the problem. Instant cool the engines down. And what happens on these heads and these jugs, people think that all these fancy fans they sell you to bolt up on the motor, that stuff doesn't work. They've got oil coolers down in front of the motors against a hot motor. The cylinders and these heads right here will not ever cool with the fan blowing on, regardless of how 300 mile an hour won't work on there. These engines, they're designed, you don't cool in the fin. The air has to be, well, anyway, let me back up 1 minute. In the standard 182s, 152s, all single engine, twin cam airplanes, they have those bafflings in there. That builds 4.5 to 6 inches of pressure inside that cowling, and they force the air between the fins. If you cannot force the air between the fins, it will never cool. So we cured that problem, and that's so much for us aviation guys. But on the motorcycle ends, you can't cool it. And we got hundreds of customers every day. They're toured, especially in Texas. Guys that get out to run 90, 100 mile an hour, they're running 250 and 350 degrees on their oil temperature. You should never, ever let it exceed 215 degrees. Harley makes a digital dipstick that goes right in your oil tank. I highly suggest you get you one of those, take your bike out and run it 75, 80 miles an hour for 30 miles, pull off the side road and push your button. If you are, regardless with cooler or without cooler, it makes no difference. You need to make sure you do that to get that motor down where it is. And if it's not cool enough and you've already got a cooler in front of the motor, get one of the Jag dual vertical roll mounts on your frame well, and that'll take care of your cooling problems. Because if you can't keep that oil cool, you're going to kill your engines. And that's what they're doing across America with these Harleys. And that's why a lot of the engine problems develop. The guys are running 300 degrees and it's killing the motors. Any other questions?
There's one back here.
Yes, sir.
With the vented dipstick, is that going to help relieve
I just run the conventional stuff. I don't go for that vent stuff. I just put it in the motor and ride off in the sunset. I ride my bikes. Good Lord, last year we went from here to Amarillo, ate lunch at the Big Texan from Alabama, then we went to Santa Fe, New Mexico, then to Durango, Colorado, Montrose, Colorado, Denver, Sturgis, out to the Devil's Tower. We ride all over the country with these bikes, testing our bikes. So it's important to keep them cool. On my personal test bikes that are set on kill, I run dual 10-row all coolers. And the hottest day ever in downtown Sturgis, I've never seen a 218's downtown traffic with a 160 horsepower motor. So keep these engines cool, guys. Sell these guys what they need. Any other questions? Yeah.
Sir, you say you run an oil cooler, but how would that work? Because that have the liquid cooled heads. I don't even think they have an oil cooler on them at all, do they?
I'm not sure. I really couldn't answer that question, but I can say, you
They're
find
liquid
it,
cooled.
take the bike out and run it. If you're over 215 degrees, you put one on the frame wheel. There's a way to put an oil
Yeah,
cooler
you
on.
could add one.
These are vertical roll. They mount up in your down tubes up there, and you will need it. But I don't know what temperature. I really don't. I don't have enough experience in that. I'm just passing that on as a word of wisdom to what we found out is going across America, and it may help some of you guys, and hope it does. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
But your cam, does it matter what tuner you guys, what tuner you guys have? It's like a Dynajet or Max, does it matter what tuner?
Power Vision is about the best I know of, the best results. I'm not going to badmouth anybody's systems. It's each his own. They're all complicated, but results I've seen, most of the biggest numbers are with Power Vision. And here's the thing about it. It's like I brought up earlier tonight, in search of. We're all in search of, just like these questions these folks are asking, people are searching for answers. The Power Vision best people in the country, including these people here, is Fuelmoto. They got maps for just about every cam that you can think of out there. Most of them are camshaft. And so when you're in search of and you need something, those are the people to call. You call Russell here. But Power Vision would be mine.
Yeah, we use Power Vision.
Yeah, that's what they, somebody else I saw here? Yes, sir.
Come in here a few times, pick this brain. I got a
Yes.
17 Glide, I want to do a cam, and I want to do a little bit of air intake, exhaust. I know 2-in-1's better. I got the Reinhardt headers, Reinhardt tips, Reinhardt air intake. 777 cam or the 22,
How much do you weigh? I can't see from here.
220.
You ride triple by yourself.
Every once in a while, yeah.
Yeah, what speeds do you normally run, kind of what you ride on? I said, what type of roads do you ride on?
I'm here in Michigan, pretty much flat.
Where much flat? What
Flat,
speeds
two
do you
lanes.
run?
What's that?
How
What
fast?
speeds do you run? How fast?
Usually anywhere from 70 and under.
Okay, so you need torque.
Tour and cruising.
TW222,
Yeah,
hands
triple
down. Yeah. What year was your bike?
17.
17.
17, and it was 107? Yeah, it'd be the XC cam then, 22XC. Yeah, that's a cam. I lost track for a minute. I was thinking twin cam. You got a Milwaukee. Yeah, XC cam, 22XC. It's the number one seller. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anybody else? Yes, sir.
I got a 15 Ultra, it's got 164,000,
15 Ultra, 164,103.
got a new motor.
You need one of these. Oh, wow.
Well, bless it.
Well, yeah, just bless it, man. But really, 164,000.
You're right, yeah, you're right.
Holy smokes, man. Jesus Christ.
He's rebuilt.
That is incredible. Well, tell me about it. Is it running good now?
It's actually in the barn, but yeah, it runs good. Yeah, I'm the second owner.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of just waiting for it to break down before I do anything. It's all stock.
Okay.
But,
Well, personally, what year was it now?
15.
Yeah, I would stop and just go into timeout for a minute, and I'd pull the nose cone off of it and look at your tensioners, and I'd put two B168 bearings in there, new chains, and put the Screaming Eagle oil pump, and a set of lifters for sure, goodness gracious. And maybe a cam if you want it, right off in the sunset. Because after this, it's going to get like really expensive.
Well, yeah, that's what I've been told. But
Well, if it was my bike and it ain't broken, it's not smoking,
Right.
you're talking about $1,000, $1,200, $1,300, man, just ride it till she comes apart.
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, that's a smart thing to do. I wouldn't sell you something if you didn't need it, but You don't need it. If it ain't broke, you don't have to fix it. Just do a little, it's like a woman, you gotta take care of them, you know, and not abuse them, and so, isn't that right?
The fluids fresh.
Okay, the boss is spoken, man. Any other questions?
Anybody else? We good? Anybody else got anything at all?
Yeah, sure. I guess, for my bike, I have a 114 in 2022. I have a stock, or I have not a stock, I have a Harley cam in it right now. But I
Which one? 460 or 470, or which one?
the horsepower cam.
Okay.
Yeah, the power cam stage 2.
But I was looking to replace it with another cam. I ride all over the place. I ride across the country. I run through, but I go 100 mile an hour.
22X Sigma, man, that's the cam.
But will that work too with riding two up as big as I am?
Especially, absolutely, that's a high
Yeah,
torque.
it's a heavy torque.
Yeah.
Heavy on the torque
Yeah,
cam.
yeah. 22XC, that's what it's made for. It's never how fast you go, it's always how quick you get it there. That'll win every 99% of the time. Yeah, nobody's come out with a cam and beat
It's
that
hard,
cam.
it's real hard out of the hole.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Get
keep
it
the tire
right on
on.
up through $5,000. So,
Or,
it's all about
or
torque.
should I wait till spring when you guys release this new cam that you've been hitting there?
Yeah.
The new cam, we've got several new cams, but it's not designed to go where that 22XC cam goes.
Okay.
We just released one called the, Jesus Christ, what was that cam called?
Yeah.
Got so many different, 222X, I think 222X, but that's for when you pull in the parking lot. It's not for a guy like you wants to all that torque, you know?
Yeah.
That's one guy wants to live up over 3,500 RPM. And the other cams that we got, you got to understand, when we make cam, we make 1,000 at a time, and you got to sell what you got before you can start dipping into the tank. Now, I broke the rule on my 408 cam. The gentleman back here mentioned I had a 408. We just released the 408X, which is worth another 7 horsepower, and over the standard 408 just by changing this exhaust 10 degrees, more timing.
So if I do put the 22XE though, in,
You're good to go.
Change the lifters as well, all right?
Yeah.
Always, you
Yeah,
get the
always get the
Mexican
lifters
lifters,
in there.
get the Mexican lifters out of there, you know. And we will be releasing a brand new lifter like the world's never seen for Harleys come mid-spring. We start testing on the 20th of this month.
You guys are releasing a new lifter?
Yeah, there's a lifetime lifter.
That's one that's
No
nobody's
bearing.
ever seen, there's no bearings in it at all. We'll start testing. I've been on this 3.5 years. This stuff doesn't happen. You have to start the work, and then in the manufacturing process and getting somebody to tool for these things, it takes a it's been a long struggle on these lifters with Harleys. And this is the only solution I've seen where I can hand a guy a lifter and he can run the rest of his life with his lifters. And if they work like they're supposed to, you'll be able to do that. So, but it will be mid-spring. And we'll be testing a few motors. Russell's going to test some, a few motors going to test some, and we're going to test them.
So you guys should test them dyno, or do you actually like put them in people's bikes?
We have our dynometers, but I'll be honest, we have a brand new, it's been sitting there I haven't used it. Answer your question, no, we don't test anything in-house. We send them out, we'll send them out to reputable companies. Of course, my test bike, yes, it does. But they're on-the-road experience. It's not going to be something that we're just going to put out there on the market. They have to be tested. I would even challenge my reputation to go out and do something like that. So we would have at least 4 people testing the lift, just running the living hell out of them, including my personal test bike, so, yeah.
Anybody got
Anybody
anything
else?
else? You said it, did you say a raffle? Oh, okay.
What
Somebody
are we
won a raffle.
raffling today?
What are we giving away? I got some, and Bert Baker shirts and stuff to give away too.
All right, we'll be around. You guys got any questions, just give us a call.
All right, thank you, everybody.
And this is what we wear.